What led to the, quote, suicides, unquote?
And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people won't even believe this. And a lot of things that God tells us in our prayer prophetically, and we record that and we talk about this, you may not hear about it in the media, and you definitely won't hear about it in the Babylon church circuit, because they're too busy making money and begging for money. But nonetheless, God is telling us this, and this is what's going to happen. A lot of things that transpires that God tells us, you don't hear about it because it's kept secret, and that's part of what I'm trying to expose, and others are trying to expose, is the conspiracy to do away with Christianity in America. And that is a conspiracy. It's been going on for quite a long time. Now we're just now getting wind, a big-time wind of it, how bad it really is. I think it's a little bit too late for our country to pull up out of it. And I mean, like I said, this morning's message, that the word conspiracy, it's mentioned 10 times in the Bible. I wrote it down here, and it's conspirators is mentioned once, and conspired is mentioned 19 times. So conspiracy and conspirators is not a new thing. Just because you don't believe in it or have never heard about it being levied against the church, it's still there. It has been since the fall of Adam. Satan has conspired through his agents, e.g. human beings, to do away with the concept of God and God's truth. And it's been an ongoing battle for centuries now. But in our country of America, which, quote and unquote, is supposed to be Christian, well, we've got the Christian concept, but we're not walking it and haven't been for years. But nonetheless, they totally want to do away with that. And there is a conspiracies, plural, to overthrow the Christians, to overthrow the God factor, and totally get rid of everything that pertains to God, because this is a land of the homosexuals, this is a land of the lesbians, this is a land of the perverts, the psychopaths, the killers, the murderers, the abortionists, the drug addicts, the alcoholics, the pimps, prostitutes, and perverts of every sort in the churches themselves. This is their land. And they don't want God nosing their business anymore. They're trying to oust God, especially in our government. And I'm going to be talking about the government. I don't usually get too much on government because God has told us not to get too involved. But I feel the release in the Spirit to talk somewhat about some of the conspiracies that's going on. And the only place you'll find a lot of this I'm going to be talking about is in the underground papers, in the underground radio broadcast on the shortwave and all this kind of stuff. You don't find it in national media, and if it's even mentioned, it's whitewashed over or it's painted a totally another picture. And before I get into all that business, as I promised tonight, I want to go back and review what we learned this morning out of Jeremiah chapter 50. So anyway, that's what happened to Israel. They started worshiping idols, and God punished them. There is a conspiracy to oust Christianity in this nation, and for the humanists or the one world people, whoever you want to call them, to take over. And they want to make the people of this nation just puppets to earn the money, to feed the beast, to make us slaves. I mean, that's just pure and simple. A lot of people don't believe this. They may never heard of it. You're going to hear about it tonight. But I'm particularly tonight going to deal with some prophecies that God gave us in 1991. As everybody was putting up their little ribbons, yellow ribbons all over their houses and their places of business or on their cars, we was getting down on our knees and say, God, tell us the truth. And God was telling us the truth. And what he was telling us was totally opposite of what the media and what people were telling us. Now, I know the masses out here was deceived. There's no doubt they were deceived by the media. And the media is a manipulator. They're brainwashers. They're professional wizards, the newscasters, the spellcasters of our country. It's not an unknown fact now. They are spellcasters. They are wicked people. They're wizards and warlocks, and they're into all kinds of satanic things. And they only tell this country what they want this country to know. If they find out the country is getting a hold of the truth, then they'll have to come along and say, yeah, I know this, but...
And here we go again. Another day. Just like yesterday. Plotting, planning, scheming, scamming. And can't we have a day off? Nope, not with these terms.
And they still refuse to tell the truth. Because they can't tell the truth because the devils are dead. See, they can't. They're not under God. They're under Satan's power. And pretty soon, in another message or two, I'll be talking about the global 2000, annihilation of 4 billion people that they've got planned. that no one hardly knows about. But it's planned anyway. It's been written since 1978. And Mr. Jimmy Carter, our president then, was instituted that. And that is just now beginning to come out of the old dogma. That's another conspiracy. There's a lot of conspiracies going on. See, it's not just against the Christian camp, it's against the public in general. But because we claim to be a Christian nation, there are conspiracies and there's hatred for this country. And not just within our country, from without. See, from without. And you think, I think, we all think that the people in government's behind it all. Well, in somewhat they are, but there's people behind our U.S. government that's behind this. They're global people. You know, they call them, you know, the Elite 300. And I'll get into that. They don't like this, or it's Janet Reno, or Bill Clinton, or whatever. No, they're just puppets. They're the ones that make the plan. They're the one that runs the world. They don't run just America. They run the world. They design wars. They implement wars. They bring forth destruction, and they do it all around the world anytime they want to do it. They do it. They want to bring atrocities into America, they do it. And it makes it look like something happened. It makes the public think something happened, which it didn't really happen. They planned it. You know, years ago, he said, nothing happens in America by chance. If anything happens, it's been planned. So don't think that these things, it just happens. You know, the Waco thing, burning all those people alive, don't think it just happened. It was a mass suicide. It was planned. Don't think the Jonestown thing back in Guyana in the 70s just happened in a mass suicide. They all fell in love with this cult leader, Jim Jones, and they all committed suicide. Don't think that just happened that way. It was planned. It was implemented by our own government. They were murdered. That is just now coming out. And it was all planned for our destruction. So all this has to do with conspiracies. And you say, why conspiracies? It's because God wants us to know about them. Not that we're going to change them, not that we're going to stop them, and not that we're going to live in fear about them. For the main reason that I am bringing this out is because God is telling us the truth, publish and conceal not. And you publish the way we do through our papers, or you broadcast over the radio like we do and send our videos around the world. However we get it out, we get it out. It has to do with the conspiracy against God's people. Because, like I just said, you can find it. Now I'm going to be dealing with that tonight. So, forget Jeremiah 50. Let's go to Jeremiah 11 as our text tonight.
Hello?
They just come in and kill me.
No, honey. Nobody's going to come and kill you. Don't burn our building down. No, we won't do that.
Everybody grab your map.
We believe that this thing had to be brought to a logical conclusion at some point. We never fired one single round of ammunition.
All he is a cheap thug who interprets the Bible through the barrel of a gun.
Instead of admitting to the American people that they had made a mistake, they lied to the public.
Wake up, the rules of engagement. The shocking truth revealed.
The shot that we're looking at is coming off the rear deck area of the tank.
See the incredible evidence the government doesn't want you to know about.
Both positions are firing automatic weapons.
I'm standing by what they did because I do what I'm told as long as it's legal and moral.
My God, torturing babies and saying it's part of their job?
We stand between the caresses of the world and everybody here.
He actually drove right through the middle of the building into the kitchen area and basically at point-blank range fired gas where the women and children were.
Horrible, horrible way to die.
They were all good people. They minded their own business. They were never overbearing. I liked them.
They were quiet. They were secluded, minded their own business, and killed themselves.
Hello?
They just come in and kill me.
Nobody's coming in there. You got my word, it's solid, okay?
And here we go again. Another day. Just like yesterday. Plot, planning, scheming, scamming. And can we have a day off? Nope, not with these turns.
What led to the, quote, suicides, unquote, or rather massacre at Jonestown, Waco? Here's the scenario. Jim Jones is a CIA plant. but so are the main temple defectors. Here is some info about the first main defectors from People's Temple, who brought most of the scrutiny on Jim Jones. Deborah Layton Blakey. Dr. Lawrence Layton Sr., her father, was one of the main financial contributors to Jonestown. Dr. Lawrence Layton Sr. had previously been in charge of research and development for the United States Army's Dugway Proving Ground, one of the top chemical and biological warfare research centers for the United States Army. Lawrence Layton Jr., her brother, was one of the main shooters at the landing strip in Jonestown, Guyana, where 5 people were killed, including Congressman Ryan, who went there to investigate People's Temple in Jonestown. Deborah Layton was married to a fellow named George Philip Blakey. George Philip Blakey had been the individual who placed the down payment on the property in Guyana, which was purchased by Jim Jones and the People's Temple. He had previously been a contract agent for the CIA in Angola, where the CIA was conducting a massive covert operation. This is a quote from a man named David Emery. Deborah Layton is the first person David Emery could find bringing allegations of, quote, practiced mass suicides, unquote, and, quote, anyone who left would be killed, unquote, which made the People's Temple members look like a, quote, mind-controlled cult, unquote. She is also one of the main speakers and interviewers, quote, verifying, unquote, what happened at Jonestown to this day. She also wrote a book about it, Seductive Poison. Then there's the Stones. Tim Stone was one of the most prominent full-time members of People's Temple. He was a young graduate of Stanford Law School who had taken a job with the Mendocino County District Attorney. Tim Stone, then in his early 30s, had, quote, fallen in love with a young woman, a San Francisco native named Grace Gretsch, unquote. The two would marry in a temple ceremony a few months later. Then, according to a signed affidavit by Tim Stone, he asked Jim Jones to, quote, sire a child, unquote, with Grace because Tim Stone, quote, was unable after extensive attempts, unquote. On January 25th, 1972, Grace Stone gave birth to a son, John Victor Stone. In 1976, Grace Stone leaves People's Temple by herself. She even leaves her son, John Victor. 1977, People's Temple leaves the United States and moves to Jonestown. Tim Stone leaves on a business trip to the U.S., expecting to return, but instead defects. He then becomes a powerful aspect of, quote, concerned relatives, unquote, and begins claiming that Jim Jones is keeping his son from him. Meanwhile, frantic relatives in a group called the Concerned Relatives were lobbying American authorities to investigate People's Temple in Jonestown and allow them to communicate directly with their loved ones. Meanwhile, People's Temple defectors, among them Deborah Layton and Grace and Tim Stone, told their stories to the American media, detailing the armed work camp and threats of mass suicide. On November 7, 1978, U.S. Representative Leo Ryan of San Mateo, California, announced he would form a congressional delegation to investigate these stories. Quote from PBS, Public Broadcast System. When the congressman and crew were getting ready to leave, 16 out of 900 people wanted to go also. According to the story, Jim Jones did not like this and began verbally protesting. Congressman Leo Ryan then tells Jim Jones,
when I get back, I'm going to report to Congress that of the 60 people cited by the concerned relatives, none of them wants to leave. They said they were completely happy.
Then, according to FBI records, Donald Edward Sly attacks Congressman Leo with a knife. Then, the congressman and everyone who came with him, plus the defectors, attempt to leave.
A group of Jones's followers opened fire, killing Ryan, one of the defectors, and 3 reporters, including Bob Brown, the cameraman who shot this footage. 10 others were wounded.
One of the 10 others wounded was Jackie Spear.
On the night of the 17th, it was still a vibrant community. I would
never have imagined that 24 hours later they would all be dead.
Jackie Spear, former senator of California, was a congressional staffer for Congressman Leo Ryan when he made his fact-finding mission to Jonestown. She was shot 5 times. Jackie Spear's prophecy fulfilled.
Could there be another Jonestown today? There could be another Jonestown in this country. It doesn't have to be in some far-flung foreign locale.